talking about sports in the Indian education system, especially at schools. To know about the importance of this in schools and especially in the curriculum, we have the pro herself with us today, Ashwini Nachappa. Ashwini, you yourself have a school which has a special focus on sports. Maybe you could tell me a bit more about that.
We launched the school. My husband and I started the school in Coorg, which is about 200 odd kilometers from Bangalore. It's an ICSE school which also houses a sports academy. Both of us are product of school games, me especially, and I believe that without the integration of sports into our academic curriculum, the way it used to be in our days, no longer exists, and we see so many, we read every day in the papers what children are going through, and there is no place for an average student to pursue anything else. And I think it's very important that every child is allowed to play sport.
How do you think this would really affect them in terms of their personality and confidence? What benefits would it give them?
Well, sports brings about a lot of learnings of life which will not be learnt in the four walls of a classroom. For example, every child who competes knows the body, which is not taught in the class. Actually, physical fitness enables them to be mentally fit too, because you are confident, you feel good that your body is capable of taking the physical load, as well as you enjoy being on the field. I don't think any of us have come across a child who doesn't like to play. And it's important for coordination, for mental health, for self-esteem. And I believe children who pursue sport and academics have a great learning in life, because it is the only way that a child experiences defeat and success on the same wavelength, which is not there in any other field. You cannot be a winner every time on the field, but it has a great learning, and I think that's a learning that a child will carry for life.
Okay, and in terms of your school itself, what kind of focus on sports do you give that doesn't usually happen in other schools?
Well, first of all, the school is built on almost 28 acres of land. It's not a normal school. It's built, surrounded by hills. The environment is beautiful. When you enter the school, you don't get concrete buildings. You actually get only play fields. On one side is the academic blocks, the junior, senior blocks. But as you enter, you have a hockey field, you have a swimming pool, you have a 10-meter air pistol shooting range, you have an athletic arena, you have basketball courts, and then you see the buildings of schools. Right? So it's, and the environment to grow is fantastic, because I believe the children, even I've got two daughters, and city life is just too hectic. There are too many distractions, and if a child wants to pursue sport, we have a provision where we provide platform for pursuing a high ICSE curriculum, which is a central board syllabus curriculum, as well as a quality sports. And we have about almost 7 kids in the state junior champions, which represent Karnataka state in the junior level in athletics. We have a young hockey team between 12 to 15 years who are actually the Karnataka school champions. So it allows them to be heroes in the class, and it also allows them, when my maths teacher comes up to me and says, Manjunath was doing well in sports, is actually doing well in math, which is surprising, because you also want to replicate that, because people are looking at you in a different, you're kind of a role model to the younger ones. So you also want to do well in academics. And I think there is enough room to pursue both, and I wish our system allows it to happen.
Right. So since you were talking about this, traditionally there's only been about half an hour of a PE class in a week for students in schools. How do you think we got into that system, and why hasn't that helped at all?
See, when we played sport, I was barely 8 or 9 years old when we started. There should be a bunch of schools that were known because of sport. It was a great visibility, for schools to be shown doing well in sports. Our schools in those days had huge playgrounds. Most of the state champions in our era came from the schools, whether it's the neighboring schools, the old convent schools, were known because whether I was from Good Shepherd, the Baldwins, it's such fierce competition, and it allowed other children who weren't part of the school team were allowed to come into the stadium as cheerleaders. So there was a great bonding, great competition, a healthy competition. Every school had a song, fierce competition. And actually heads of institution along with teachers would come and watch the competition. Unfortunately, over a decade, we have seen, it's been an effort to our schools to participate. And that is sad because today everybody cannot be a 95% above student. There is time to pursue art, there's time to pursue music, we are not allowing that to happen in today's generation.
Okay, so since you are a pro athlete, you would know how good a PE teacher needs to be able to impart that education to students. Now in normal schools, you don't really find that, it's almost as if anyone can be a PE teacher. So what's the problem there?
Well, the current system is where I'm not generalizing, but most number of PE teachers are in school to mind the class. PE teachers have become like, a disciplinarian. If a teacher can't mind, then the PE teacher comes and minds the class. Or if somebody is absent, substitutes to mind the class. That's not what the PE teacher is. Most schools also have, after the 5th or 6th grade, once a fortnight physical education. It's so unfortunate. A sound mind is only found in a sound body. And unless one is physically fit, allowed to play sport, and that's also a recreation for them rather than being in a closed classroom all the time. So I personally believe physical education should do it's not just about the CBSE curriculum says sport for all. It's made compulsory in every school. My daughter passed out of the CBSE. You just have to do a few yoga asanas and a few drills and you pass PE exam. That is not what PE should be about. PE should be allowed. You have a basketball team, you have a volleyball team, you have a throwball team. It brings great fellowship. It brings great bonding among students. It brings a great amount of learning outdoor, which is, really what's needed today. Nobody is looking at your qualification today. Everybody wants to know how confident you are, how smart you are, how quickly you can take decisions, and you should allow them to do that.
Okay, and finally, could you tell me from a government perspective, what can they do to really implement and or make something like this compulsory for schools?
Well, I think though sports they say is compulsory, I think there is, even to start a school, the first thing they ask is whether you have a playground. Well, look around yourselves. You see in a 30-40 plot, you'll see buildings as schools with children have no place to play. That is not what we should be promoting. We should be promoting a culture. When we have a young India, we need to ensure that there are healthy India. And sports is not just about competitive sports. Sports should be looked as health too. And when you look at health, you will see that every child who participates in sports and games are far more healthier than a child who's sitting in front of a computer. Right? Therefore, it's merely not saying sports is a subject, sports, how you implement it. It's not necessary every school takes up all sport. Take one or two sport, at least allow children to experience competition, experience life beyond the classroom.
Okay. Thank you, Ashwini, so much for joining us.
Catch the Heads Up episodes you might have missed during the week at these times only on NDTV Prime.